Ang gulo. Zoom out mo pa. Ay. Salamat po.
Then may nag-charge. One side of the power cylinder or the other, moving the piston to the left or right. When the steering wheel is turned in the opposite direction, the small valve is directional flow. So the nose is the opposite side of the power cylinder, moving the piston in the opposite direction. This is how the power cylinder helps the driver turn the steering wheel. In a real car, the power cylinder and the control valve are incorporated into one unified. The main pump is driven by the engine via a drive shaft. Let's take a look at the construction and functioning of the main pump and the control valve. The main pump, driven by the engine, generates hydraulic pressure.
Sabihin na lang ako.
A rub is incorporated into the pump. A rub
Yung space na sa loob.
Yan, yung makikikot na yan. Diyan mo isagad doon sa pinta. Yung sa ilalim yung level bar. Yan.
But what would happen if the fluid was sent to the power cylinder as is?
Oh, lumakas na to.
Let's use the box again to do an experiment. Even if valve B is left open a certain constant amount, when the volume of the fluid from the pump is changed, the piston inside the cylinder rises or falls accordingly. This is because the hydraulic pressure inside the cylinder has changed. In the same way, the degree of steering assistance would change if the volume of the fluid sent out by the main pump were to be changed by a change in engine RPM. To prevent this, the base pump is equipped with a flow control valve which keeps the flow volume of the outgoing fluid constant, whether the engine is running at low or high RPM.
Wag, 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 wag.
This flow control valve corresponds to valve A in the model chart. Now, let's take a look at the operation of the flow control valve. First, we'll see its operation at low RPM when the steering angle is constant. The fluid from the discharge side of the pump is sent out directly to the steering gearbox through a small opening called the orifice. As the flow volume of the fluid increases with an increase in engine RPM, the pressure in chamber A, which is partially obstructed by the orifice, also increases. This causes the flow control valve to overcome the tension of the spring and move to the left. This in turn opens the passage to the suction side of the pump, discharging excess fluid and ensuring that the flow volume of the steering gearbox is kept constant. Now, what happens when the steering wheel is turned? When this occurs, the pressure in the power cylinder increases, and the pressure in chambers B and A of the flow control valve
Wala yun sa ilalim, no?
simultaneously.
Wala.
Yung parang naliliw
Yung
valve.
bypass, parang bypass.
Relief valve.
Okay.
Ito yung relief valve. Sa ilalim na.
Suction side of the pump, and the flow volume of the steering gearbox would decrease.
Yun o.
Then this,
Yan.
another
Yan, bypass.
Yan, bypass.
to allow pressure from chamber B to be transmitted to chamber C, which is at the left side of the flow control valve. So the pressure in chamber C increases at the same time as that in chamber B, and the flow control valve does not move. In this way, the flow volume of the fluid to the steering gearbox is kept constant, even if the pressure in chamber B changes.
Saan ba punta yung ano?
Sa may bypass.
Pataas.
Yung parang
Punta ng ano?
valve din niya sa may...
Hindi. Papunta ng reservoir.
Oo. Pabalik na sa sampo.
Now, what happens if the steering wheel
Yung sa may suction.
all the way to the left or right, and this position is maintained? If this happens, the hydraulic pressure in chamber B suddenly rises. This would increase the load on the engine and in part the power steering system. So to prevent this, when the pressure in chamber C rises above a set pressure, a relief valve opens so that an excessive rise in pressure will not occur.
Hindi pala bukas yung relief valve. Hindi pala laging bukas.
Pag mataas ang pressure sa
Function and function of
Pag
the control
nakasagot
valve.
lang.
Let's consider the most typical rotary type control valve. The control valve is located in the steering gear box. It consists of the valve shaft and the rotary valve. These two components are connected to either end of a torsion bar. The valve shaft is secured at the top end of the torsion bar, and the rotary valve is secured at the bottom. When the steering wheel is turned, its rotation is transmitted to the valve shaft and the torsion bar, as well as to the rotary valve and the pinion gear. The cutaway model shows how the rotation is transmitted. If there were no resistance from the road, the valve shaft and the rotary valve would rotate integrally. However, since there actually will be resistance, we will simulate this resistance in this model by twisting the torsion bar. This will cause the valve shaft to rotate, changing its relationship with the rotary valve and causing the size of the gaps between the valve shaft and the rotary valve to change also. Seen from above, the cutaway model shows what these gaps look like as they become larger and smaller in size. These movements switch the hydraulic circuitry, causing the fluid to channel to one side of the power cylinder or the other, resulting in appropriate resistance. Changes in the size of the gaps are restricted by a stopper provided at the pinion. Also, because of this, even if assistance is not provided because the engine stops, or the drive belt or the main pump breaks, the driver can still steer the vehicle. In other words, it can be steered manually, because the valve shaft makes contact with the stopper and directly rotates the pinion when this occurs. Now, let's observe how hydraulic pressure is applied by switching it from one hydraulic circuit to another. When the steering wheel is in the straight ahead position, the fluid returns directly to the reservoir, and the openings on each side of each gap are the same size. This allows an even flow of fluid to the left and right chambers of the power cylinder. This also eliminates any difference in pressure that may build up between the left and right sides of the power cylinder. When the steering wheel is turned to the left, the size of the gaps between the valve shaft and the rotary valve are changed, as has already been explained. When this happens, the fluid flows to the chamber in the left side of the power cylinder. The hydraulic pressure moves the piston in the cylinder to the right, resulting in assistance. If the steering wheel is stopped halfway, the torsion bar returns to its original position. The valve rotates in a torsion.
Mamaya, nasa. Mamaya.
Then the gaps between the valve shaft and the rotary valve return to their original size. The hydraulic circuitry returns to the neutral position, and the piston stops moving.
Uy, bawal
When the
yan.
steering wheel is turned to
Uy,
the
bawal
right,
yan.
the fluid then changes to the right side of the power cylinder.